Hi guys! Welcome to my channel where I bring you the history of everything. Now this is a special request from a subscriber who said, can someone please do the history of Portugal? Now being 67 years old myself, I was born in the year of our Lord 1954 in good old Portugal, so I think I'm more than qualified to do a video on the history of Portugal. But let's get started. So here we go. We'll start at the beginning. There are no written records about the earliest people that lived in Portugal, but archaeological evidence points to human habitation in the area since the late Paleolithic period. During the Neolithic period, megalithic tombs such as the Anta de Zambuja show evidence of cultural connections between Portugal and other parts of Europe. Over time, different peoples migrated to the Iberian Peninsula, including the Celts, the Lusitanians, and the Vitones, all leaving their mark on the region's culture and language. The name Portugal comes from the Latin portus cael, meaning port of the River Cay. In ancient times, the area was known as Lusitania. During the Roman Empire, the city of Emerita Augusta, now Merida, became an important military and commercial center. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the Swabi, a Germanic tribe, established a kingdom in northern Portugal around the 5th century AD. However, by the 6th century, the Visigoths had expanded their control over most of the Iberian Peninsula, including Portugal. In the early 8th century, the Moors began to conquer the Iberian Peninsula. By the mid-8th century, they had taken control of most of southern Portugal. However, the northern part of the region remained under the control of the Kingdom of Asturias. In the 9th century, the Moors were pushed back by the emerging county of Portugal, which was first mentioned in 919 or 920 AD, when the Moorish king of Cordoba granted the territory to a man named Hermenegeldo Gafern. Originally, it was called the County of Porto, but later on it was renamed the County of Portugal. Nevertheless, despite these territorial gains, the Christians were not able to push the Moors further south until the 1147 Battle of Ourique, when the forces of the Kingdom of Portugal decisively defeated the Almoravid dynasty of the Moors. This victory led to the establishment of the Kingdom of Portugal in 1143, with Alfonso I as its first king. It's also from this period that we have the well-known Portuguese epic poem Oés, written by the poet Luís Vaz de Camões in the 16th century. This epic poem celebrates the Portuguese Age of Discovery and tells the story of the discovery of the sea route to India. It's considered one of the masterpieces of world literature and is a major part of Portuguese cultural heritage. After establishing their independence, the Kingdom of Portugal engaged in a series of conflicts known as the Reconquista, aiming to recapture territories from the Moors. Over the next 2 centuries, the Portuguese monarchs gradually extended their rule over the entire Iberian Peninsula, pushing the Moors further south. The Portuguese also explored and conquered several islands off the coast of Africa, including Madeira in 1419 and the Azores in 1432, which became important trading centers. In the 15th century, the Portuguese began exploring and conquering territories in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Vasco da Gama's voyage to India in 1498 opened up new trade routes and established Portugal's dominance in the spice trade. The Portuguese also colonized areas such as Goa in India and Macau in China. In South America, Pedro Álvares Cabral landed in Brazil in 1500, marking the beginning of Portuguese colonization in the region. During the 16th century, Portugal reached the peak of its maritime power and wealth. The introduction of new navigational techniques and the use of triangular trade routes allowed the Portuguese to transport goods such as spices, sugar, and gold to Europe. Major ports like Lisbon became centers of international trade. However, in 1580, the Portuguese succession crisis led to the union of the Portuguese and Spanish crowns under Philip II of Spain, creating a personal union known as the Iberian Union. This union lasted for 60 years, and during this time, Portugal became a part of the Spanish Habsburg Empire. Despite this political change, the Portuguese continued to maintain their distinct language, culture, and institutions. In the 17th century, Portugal experienced a decline in its maritime power and wealth due to various factors, including competition from other European powers and natural disasters such as earthquakes and floods. In the 18th century, Portugal entered into a series of alliances with Great Britain to protect its colonies and trade routes against Spanish and Dutch rivals. The British also provided financial assistance to help Portugal recover from the devastating Lisbon earthquake of 1755. As a result, closer ties were formed between the two nations. In 1762, the Treaty of Fontainebleau divided the two largest Portuguese colonies, Brazil and Macau, between Portugal and Spain. Under the treaty, Spain would receive the western portion of Brazil, while Portugal would retain eastern Brazil. However, the treaty never went into effect because of the outbreak of the 7 Years' War. In 1801, Napoleon's growing power in Europe led to concerns in Portugal. French invasion seemed imminent and threatened Portugal's colonial empire. In response, the Portuguese royal family fled to Brazil and established Rio de Janeiro as the new capital of the Portuguese Empire. They left most of their treasures and archives behind, resulting in what has become known as the Brazilian treasure. Meanwhile, in 1808, Napoleon's brother, Joseph Bonaparte, invaded and occupied Portugal. This occupation led to the Portuguese War of Independence, which lasted until 1815. During the war, British forces played a significant role in supporting the Portuguese resistance. In 1822, Dom Pedro declared Brazil's independence from Portugal, leading to the end of the personal union between the two countries. The newly independent Brazil initially faced challenges such as internal conflicts and economic instability. However, the discovery of gold and the expansion of slavery helped fuel its growth. Over the course of the 19th century, Portugal underwent significant transformations. In 1820, the liberal revolution in Portugal resulted in the establishment of a constitutional monarchy. This period saw the introduction of liberal ideas and reforms aimed at modernizing the country. The Portuguese monarchy was then replaced by a republic in 1910 following the Republican Revolution. In the early 20th century, Portugal's overseas empire continued to decline. In 1974, the Carnation Revolution led to the overthrow of the Estado Novo regime and the restoration of democracy. Portugal began a process of decolonization, granting independence to its remaining colonies: Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, and Snow and In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, Portugal has experienced significant economic growth, becoming one of the founding members of the European Union and adopting the euro as its currency in 2002. Portugal has also maintained close ties with its former colonies through the SESA Soma, Community of Portuguese Language Countries, CPLP. And so there you have it, a potted history of Portugal from prehistoric times to the present day. Now, if you're ever watching a football match between Portugal and, say, Brazil, and you hear the commentators talk about a sort of complicated relationship between the two countries, well, that's why. And of course, they speak Portuguese in Brazil, but they don't speak it in Portugal. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. I'm the voice of history. Remember, you are awesome.